sports.
We are Blackmore. We are San Diego.
Here come the Padres. Game 4 of this series with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and Chris Denorfia has swung a hot bat. 3 for 8 with a home run, a couple of RBIs in this series, and he is back in the lineup today, and so is Hanley Ramirez for the Dodgers. 4 for 10, a double, a big home run in this series, and a couple of RBIs. Just back from the disabled list and about where Don Mattingly is hoping he would be. It is Military Sunday, U.S. Navy Appreciation Day. As the Padres at 38 and 37 get ready for baseball, it is great to have you with us on a gorgeous Sunday alongside Mark Grant, Tony Gwynn. I'm Mike Pomeranz in for Dick Enberg. Should be a great finish to the series. Padres with a chance to take this series, and Andrew Cashner on the mound today.
With the way Andrew Cashner's been throwing the baseball, I think the Padres on paper really like the way things match up and try to take 3 out of 4 from the Dodgers. And when you specifically talk about Andrew Cashner at home, what did Dorothy Gale say in The Wizard of Oz? She clicked her heels together 3 times and said, "There's no place like home." Well, the same for Andrew Cashner. 4-1, only 6 walks in 34 innings. The fastball, the slider, the changeup, the walks are way down. What's that telling you guys? He throws all of his pitches for strikes at any time. I think the Padres really have something special in Andrew Cashner in the starting rotation.
Well, he's been a lot of fun to watch, and they'll look for some offense. It's nice to see Chase Headley, Tony, starting to heat up a little bit. I know the numbers are, in this case, I think a little bit misleading because they're good, but they really could be better.
Yeah, especially in this series. He's 4 for 11 in the series, but he's really hit some balls right on the button. He's lined out a couple of times. He's using the whole field again, and I think that's the key with Chase Headley. Hitting the ball up the middle the other way is going to allow him to stay on the ball a little bit longer. And we all get it, okay? You know, he's making a lot of money, signed a big contract, and got off to a slow start, so you feel that pressure of not being a factor every day. It's great when you're winning games because it makes it easier. But when you're the player of Chase Headley, you want to be right there in the thick of things. And so I know he's been pressing a little bit, trying to get things going. But I think what we've seen here in the Dodgers series is that he's using the whole field again. And when he starts to do that, usually he is able to put together really good at-bats.
The Padres begin action today, 3.5 games behind first place Arizona. And for more on what's going on with San Diego, let's get you down to the field and the beach. And our Kelly Kroll. Kelly.
Thanks a lot, Mike. You talk about what a perfect day it is, and what better way to watch the Padres game than here at the beach. The kids already well into their Padres sandcastles right out here behind right center field. And I think a lot of the parents out here are not only enjoying their kids being busy, but also hoping Chase Headley can build on the day he had yesterday, his first multiple hit game since mid-May. And he says he definitely feels like things are finally all coming together for him.
You know, the at-bats are getting better. I feel like I'm seeing the ball better, recognizing pitches a little bit better, and that's where it starts. You know, and you know, the great thing is this isn't about me. This is about the San Diego Padres, about winning games, and we've been able to do that. So, you know, I want to do my part. I want to get back to, you know, what I know I can do. But more importantly is we're playing well, and you know, as long as we keep doing that, then you know, I'm second. Obviously, I want to do better, but you know, we keep winning games, so I'll be happy.
That is your Geico quote of the game. Of course, the big picture, the team winning, and certainly hoping to get one more here today. Guys, I'm going to jump in on building some sandcastles, let you get to the work. Mike, Mark, and Tony.
Well, that's one of the best seats in the house, that beach. Fantastic place. If you get a chance to stop by and hang out, we invite you to do so. Gorgeous day for baseball as the Padres have a chance to take 3 of 4 games from the Dodgers. And here's their lineup courtesy of Hyundai today. Skip Schumacher will lead off, play left field. Then Yasiel Puig in right. Adrian Gonzalez, who homered yesterday, will play first base. Hanley Ramirez, Andre Ethier, Juan Uribe, Nick Punto, Tim Fedorovich, and Chris Capuano. On the mound today for San Diego, it'll be Andrew Kashner, and behind him, Carlos Quinton will play in left field. Then Kristen Orfie in center, Kyle Blanks in right. Round the horn, it'll be Chase Headley, Pedro Siriaco, Logan Forsythe, Jesus Guzman, and Nick Hundley behind the plate. Brought to you by the Aramco Group.
Well, Andrew Kashner on the hill, trying to sew up this series, and then, like Mike said, 3 out of 4 would be awesome. Work ahead in the count. Boy, when he does that, he can throw all of his pitches. He can do that for strikes, and possibly more sliders today. We know the fastball located. We know the changeup. But I'll tell you what, Andrew Kashner, if he starts throwing those sliders with 2 strikes, his strikeout total is going to go way up.
Now for Kashner, this is his first career start against the Dodgers. And the Padres could certainly use a nice W here on a gorgeous Sunday afternoon. 67 degrees, very slight wind at the camo unis on. The fans' #1 favorite when it comes to the souvenir shirts. So everything in line to take 3 of 4 games from the Dodgers. Umpires today at home plate, it'll be Marty Foster. Got himself in a little bit of hot water over at first base in yesterday's game, and we'll talk all about that as we move forward. At first base, it'll be Marvin Hudson, Tim McClellan at second, and Mike Buchlinski is your third base umpire. During the day, the Dodgers 10-10. San Diego 10-12, but here at Petco 7-3. Mark Grant, Tony Gwynn, Mike Pomeranz with his. Dick Enberg is across the pond, London, enjoying Wimbledon. And we are underway to Skip Schumacher. No balls and a strike. Schumacher comes in hitting .266. 2 for 5 yesterday.
You know, I look at yesterday's game, guys, and it was kind of uncharacteristic because the defense for the Padres is so Tupperware tight. But that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll take that once every, 25, 30 games?
Yeah, a couple of things. You know, they walked guys, which they hadn't been doing. Made a couple of errors, which they hadn't been doing. And it's going to happen. You're right, Mark.
Mentioned it in our pregame. Andrew Kashner getting on top, and that's a slider right there. You can see it out of the hand, getting that rotation. And that's the pitch I was talking about. The strikeout total is going to go way up if he can throw that with 2 strikes, because it's such a sharp breaking pitch that hitters have no choice but to offer at it because it looks like it's going to be in the zone.
And there's the first strikeout of the game for Andrew Kashner. Now 58 punch-outs on the season.
Good changeup right here after throwing that slider.
Tony, that's nasty. I mean,
right in the middle of the plate, it looks like it's going to be hittable, and right at the end, it has a little bit of dip to it. You see Schumacher surprised that he swung and missed at that.
Yasiel Puig. Now, they might have been figuring out Yasiel Puig here recently. As you see his numbers over 18 games, they're outstanding, but the strikeouts are starting to mount. Puig 0 for 3 yesterday.
Doesn't take long, does it, guys?
It really doesn't.
The scouting report to get around.
You know, and we're talking about a guy hitting .435, but yeah, the scouting reports don't take long.
Hammers this one. It's Headley up with it. 2 down.
Got to hit it to a different guy. You got to remember there's gold down there at third base for the Padres.
Actually, Puig did a nice job. He got a 2-0 changeup, and he was right on it. Changeup, and he hits that ball on the screws, and the Gold Glover over there making it look easy.
With 2 outs, that'll bring up Adrian Gonzalez, 298 on the year, 9 home runs, 1 for 4 yesterday with a home run.
Just look at how easy that is at 94 out of the hand of Kashner, and nice 2-seam movement. There's that slider I was talking about.
And when you see his delivery, I mean, the ball, as a hitter, the ball just kind of jumps on you. and you mix in, 94, 95 mile per hour heater with a good slider and a changeup, and you're going to have trouble.
0-2 fouled away.
He's growing the beard back, I see.
I don't think he liked where it was going when he was clean shaven. He didn't feel comfortable. Hadn't shaved in 3 years, he said.
And it's all about comfort, right? Tony, I'm sure you had your most comfortable T-shirt or sleeves that you wore underneath your jersey.
Yeah.
No?
No.
My bad.
I wish I could grow a beard. I would have. I couldn't.
I think what Mark meant to say was that for mortals, it's all about comfort. You Hall of Famers, maybe a little less so. We go to anything. Superstition, comfort.
Yeah, well.
You just rely on skill.
Preparation.
That's a good point.
Preparation. It's just like, what we do before the game when we're, getting ready to study the opposition. You study so you get familiar with it so that so it rolls off your tongue.
Ball hit to Denorfia, and center drives him back to the track. And that will do it for the Dodgers in their half of the first. The Padres coming up. Game from a viewing spot on Coronado. Mark.
I'm here at Tidelands Park over in Coronado Island. It's a beautiful day. I have Lindsay Grant for AT&T. Lindsay, you got a great day going today.
Yeah, we do have a great day. One of the great benefits of AT&T Uverse is that we have wireless receivers, and we're able to use that technology here out in the park. So we've got a live game going on. If you have friends or family that don't have AT&T, you can sign them up today if you want. Send them on over so they can come watch the game. We've got a great partnership with Fox Sports San Diego, and we've been able to add that to our lineup. So really happy. Come on out and go Padres.
Well, thank you very much. Mike, it's a Sunsplash day.
Yes, it is. He knows I love that line. Sunsplashed. It is. Here's the Padres lineup today, and it's brought to you by Toyota. Logan Forsythe will lead things off at Chris Denorfia, Chase Headley, Carlos Quinton, Kyle Blanks, Jesus Guzman, Nick Hundley, Pedro Siriaco, and the pitcher Andrew Kashner. On the mound for the Dodgers today, behind the left-hander Chris Capuano, brought to you by Hyundai. It'll be Skip Schumacher in left, Andre Ethier, Yasiel Puig, Juan Uribe, Hanley Ramirez, Nick Punto, Adrian Gonzalez, Tim Fedorovich, and Mr. Capuano taking the hill. Chris Capuano pitching on short rest, Mark.
Yeah, and Capuano, a couple of things on the scouting report. He's got a good cutter into the righties, so you have to kind of be quick with that pitch if it's in the zone. And he's got a good move to first base. Since 2005, gentlemen, he's tied for 5th in the majors with 27 pickoffs.
Here's Logan Forsythe, 302, 2 home runs, 8 runs driven in. Over the last 6 games, hitting .360.
That's why I picked him.
How do you not, really?
Oh, love the kid.
Yeah.
Sorry about it.
Of course you are. Leadoff single for Logan Forsythe.
I was just going to say, Logan's been a lot like Chase has been. He's really has swung the bat better than the numbers indicate. And this is why. You get a ball right in the middle of the plate. He's got a short stroke, lines it into center field.
Logan back off that foot injury. Does have a stolen base as Kristen Orfia steps in. 279. 5 home runs. 3 for 8 with a home run in the series. So how about Capuano asking Don Mattingly to pitch on short rest? This is a fellow off the disabled list June 19th with a shoulder strain. Had Tommy John surgery twice. Torn labrum surgery in 2007.
Well, you know, he's not an overpowering pitcher, Mike, and to elaborate on that point, he throws 86 to 91. He changes speeds. And you see the numbers on 3 days rest. Some guys feel comfortable. They feel they can give you a nice outing, maybe go 6 innings. But I think that's a good point about trying to work the count against Capuano, get that pitch count up so you get him out of there in the 3rd or 4th inning.
I think he's trying to do, what Trevor was talking about here in the pregame. That is, be one of those leaders, one of those guys who, is willing to take the ball.
The bouncer to Ramirez, over to Puto, and to Gonzalez in time, a double play.
This time of need for the Dodgers, they're 1 starter short. Capuano decides to take the ball, and here induces the 6-4-3 double play.
And when he's on with that breaking ball or fastball down in the zone, Capuano will get a lot of grounders.
Three appearances versus San Diego this season. 0-1 is Capuano. Chase Headley digs in 228. 6 home runs, but as Tony talked about in the open, getting a lot better as of late.
Yeah.
Nubbed this one, and Uribe on the run. That'll do it for the Padres in their half of the first. Ethier, Uribe, Puto coming up.
Coast Park and the Budweiser patio above right field. All I'm coming to find out is there is not a bad seat here In Petco Park, it is amazing. Everywhere I am, another place right here. Andrew Kashner making his first career start against the Dodgers today. So far, so good. And it wasn't long ago, Eric Stoltz called him the ace in their 5 spot. And I found that extremely interesting. Andrew, of course, a year ago, averaged about 98 with his fastball, has dropped it down to closer to 94 this year. And Eric Stoltz said, you know, I threw hard like that. But it is something you learn in your own game. To be able to go deeper in games, you got to mix in the pitches. And Andrew Kashner says there's no one he likes watching more than the way Eric Stoltz does that, guys. Keeping people off balance, he says that's something he wants to work for. And I found that really interesting as he now works his way deeper into innings and, of course, gets more starts here in his major league career.
I totally agree, Kelly. And the one thing that sticks out, nice job, by the way, is when Andrew Kashner, when he's on that mound, he's got a combination of power, the velocity, and location. And Tony, you've hit against pitchers who have that power arm and just can't seem to find the strike zone. Kashner could find the strike zone with all of his pitches.
Well, you know, and that's the key. And as we see with Stoltz, is he's able to throw all his pitches for a strike. When you're facing a power guy like Andrew, the key is you know, staying in the strike zone with all your stuff, because then you just can't sit on something. And you're right, when you throw 96, 97 miles an hour, and now you're going to tone it down a little bit so that you can get command of all your stuff, it becomes a whole lot more difficult to hit.
Here's Andre Ethier with 1 out, 1 for 2 against Kashner in his brief exposure to him.
Did you see the first 2 pitches here, Mike and Tony, from Kashner? 92, 93, kind of locating a little bit. He knows he can hump it up when he wants to.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Boy, Ethier, slow start to his year for Don Mattingly's club. 255 to 5 home runs. But among active players against San Diego, second in home runs and in RBIs with 21 and 80 respectively. Ethier gave the Padres fits a season ago.
Yeah.
He and Matt Kemp.
It's a 1-2 punch that's can't go unnoticed.
Padres now 7-5 against the Dodgers this season. Kashner will flip over to Guzman for the second out of the inning.
How about Kashner? Off the mound like a cat. El Gato.
Good athlete.
Yes, he is.
And Mark Sweeney's not here right now to tell us otherwise.
You know, for a power guy also, Andrew Kashner puts himself in a good fielding position to where he can go to his right or his left. Look at the horned frog getting after it.
TCU.
He's at TCU. He was a closer.
Did you see him in college?
Yeah. We faced him plenty.
How'd that work out?
Well, we knew when we saw him, you know, chances weren't good. He was a closer. And first round draft pick of the Cubs.
A nice catch of the ball as the bat goes flying by him. And Juan Uribe is the third out of the inning. Carlos Quinn, Kyle Blanks, Jesus Guzman when we come back.
the ballpark, enjoying a big league ball game. We are scoreless, bottom of the second. Time for AT&T Twitter poll question. Which NL hitter is having the best season? Use the hashtag Goldschmidt, Gonzalez, that's Carlos Gonzalez in Colorado, Tulowitzki, Segura, or Molina. Which NL hitter is having the best season? Be sure to use the hashtag. Here's your choices, and thanks for playing.
Carlos Quentin will lead things off in the Padre half of the second. There you see his numbers in 51 games so far this season. He's as tough as they come. He's playing a little nicked up. Guess around this time of year everybody is, huh?
It's not like we don't notice. You know,
Right.
I mean, I know he wants to get back in there. But, yeah, I think it's obvious he's playing a little bit nicked.
Hey, Tony, I want to pose this next question after this pitch. Who isn't nicked up on June 23rd?
You're right. You're right.
But you see the way he's been playing when he's been in there.
Yeah.
You know, his aren't those little bumps and bruises that you don't really see happen. He's running in the wall, making diving catches.
There's Cabrera on the left with the hamstring and Cameron Maybin on the right, talking baseball. Jed Jerko on the left, Yonder Alonso on the right, on the mend, hoping to get back quickly.
You know those guys looking to get back are thinking, boy, it's going to get hard. It's going to be hard to get back in there.
Good problem for Buddy Black.
And Buddy Black his staff is loving the fact that these guys have stepped in and done a nice job. Kyle Blanks, Logan Forsythe, Pedro Siriaco. Getting a chance to fill in and kind of keep the roll going.
Carlos Quentin shoots this one out to Yasiel Puig for the first out of the inning. I mean, you just talk about the way these guys have stepped up. And Carlos, for example, his first time in the starting lineup was last night since June 14th. And Buddy comes in every day, you know, hoping not to talk to Hutch, the trainer. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the list. But he knows if he does hear something, he doesn't want to. He's got guys who can help him out. Kyle Blanks, another one of them. Back soreness, late scratch yesterday. He's back in there today, 269. The 8 home runs, just 51 games. Capuano quickly ahead, 0-2 on this Military Sunday. Every Sunday here at home at Petco, chance to honor those who serve, and today a little special tip of the cap to the United States Navy. Marines here.
Well, the Padres do it right.
It's getting in there for the shot. The recruits
getting ready to earn that Globe and Anchor. We thank them for what they do. It's awesome.
And Kyle flips one into left field for the Padres' second hit of the day.
It's a nice job there by Kyle. That ball kind of got in on him. Still strong enough to get it out into the outfield. You see a little cutter. Gets the barrel to it. This is a great shot because you can see it gets down there by the trademark, and he's still strong enough. It's amazing the bat doesn't break.
Isn't it, though?
All the time when you hit it down that low. But he does a nice job, fights it off in the left field for a base hit.
That Phantom Cam
is awesome.
Is unbelievable, isn't it? Jesus Guzman.
That Phantom Cam is 3 billion frames a second. That's how far technology is taking us. There's Jimmy G working it.
I don't know, but back in the day, if we'd have had that, we all would have realized we weren't that good. You know?
Tony, you were very instrumental back in the day to bring a lot of video stuff into the clubhouse.
Well, I am. I was proud of that, to be one of the first guys to really utilize that stuff. But again, you take all this information and you try to keep it simple. And one thing this camera does for us is it makes you realize just how precise you have to be to consistently hit a ball on the barrel of the bat. Because in the course of a game, more times than not, the outs are made closer to the trademark, like we saw in that last base hit by Kyle Blanks, than it is hitting balls right on the screws and making outs.
2 balls, no strikes to Guzman. Well, you know what you saw too, I think, in that Blanks super duper slow-mo was his ability to get his hands inside. And that's something I know you and Mark Sweeney talk about all the time.
That's very important, and it's hard to do, you know, when you got a guy like Capuano out there cutting that fastball in on your hands, because it's eating up ground while you're swinging.
That ball gets away from Fedorovich, and Blanks will head down to second base.
Yeah, that's a great job on a secondary lead. Let's check. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Daylight, go. As soon as that ball gets away from Fedorovich, Kyle Blanks is off and running. Why? Because he has an aggressive secondary lead. That ball skips off home plate, off the butt of the glove of Fedorovich. Once you see daylight, bang, that's when you go and take the 90 feet.
The Padres, their first runner of the day in scoring position, and for the series against the Dodgers, 5 of 20. Ball hit out to Andre Ethier in center. He'll call for it. And Blanks will have to hold. One more look at that swing by Kyle Blanks. Take a look at that, Tone.
Now watch the knob of the bat. See, he starts it on the path and then he cuts it right there to the inside. And when you're big and strong, you can get away with that. When you're not, like I was, you can't get away with it. And he's strong enough to take this ball off the trademark and flip it out there over the shortstop's head in the left field. Now, me, I did that exact same thing as a little half looper to the second baseman. But he's strong enough to get that thing out to the outfield. And again, the beauty of that camera is that it allows you to see what hitters see happen in the snap of the finger in a split second. That's what you have to, you're thinking about, hey, I got to try to hit this ball on the sweet part of the bat, and sometimes you just can't do it.
Who had the toughest cutter?
Oh, gosh.
From a right-hander. Did you ever face a right-hander that had a cutter?
Greg Maddox's cutter was really good.
Yeah.
Smoltzy, he'd cut one in there on you every now and then just to keep you honest. But the other way, Randy Johnson's slider was ridiculous.
I know Al Leiter had quite a
Al Leiter
cutter.
had a good cutter, but his cutter worked right into what I did well. It cut away from him, so I hit the ball the other way. Nice job. Ricochet.
It's playing it off the wall.
And then he gives it to a youngster. There you go. A nice gesture. And another happy customer.
2 outs and a man on. Here's Nick Hundley.
Now, sometimes Capuano will show that changeup kind of slow up his arm a little bit. Looked like he slowed it up a tad right there to Nick Hundley.
Hundley hitting 114 with runners in scoring position. He's got Kyle Blanks out there. Hammers this one foul. Well, the Padres' first 2 games of this series went their way, winning 6-3 and 5-2, and then dropping yesterday's game 6-1. Now turning to Andrew Cashner, Buddy Black. take 3 out of 4. And the guy's up to 5. Dodgers come into action today, 9.5 games out of first place, last in the National League West. Padres 3.5 back in third behind the Giants, and Arizona atop the division. Capuano gets Hundley, and Kyle Blanks left stranded. Dodgers coming up.
Reminder, folks, coming up on Monday, you're not going to want to miss this. As the Padres take on the Phillies at 6:30 p.m., join us as we celebrate the storied tradition of the Padres bullpen. We'll have special live guests, learn about the Padres bullpen, look back at some of their greatest moments, and celebrate the life of a great guy, an awesome coach, the late coach of the bullpen, Darryl Ackerfeld. It's all coming up Monday, right here on Fox Sports San Diego. Boy, he meant a lot to this, not only to the team, but to the organization. You're going to see a lot about that coming up on the Padres bullpen, built on tradition.
Tomorrow, 6:30. Gorgeous day out here. Game 4, Padres and Dodgers. How about that? Tommy Lasorda and Yasiel Puig. The past and the present. Tommy kind of tough on rookies in his time, young guys.
Hey, Trevor, nice job on the pregame show, my friend.
Mud, I appreciate that. I think you might have won that battle, man.
I find that hard to believe. Anytime I go up against a future Hall of Famer, I don't like my chances.
Oh, don't sugarcoat me like that, man. Your stats you threw out was awesome.
His stats are that goat noise. Nick Punto leading things off in the Dodger half of the third.
I've got to clarify something to our listeners.
I wish you would.
Trevor Hoffman started the goat call, okay? He started the goat call. I thought it was awesome. That's great. Trevor's got a great sense of humor. Loves to have fun.
You know what? When the old goat part came out, it just seemed natural to just kind of break into your best goat sound that you had.
What could be more natural than that?
Don't answer that, Mike.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Trevor, you can elaborate and talk about Andrew Kastner. In the minors he was a starter, and then came up here throwing 100. But what do you see in his transition, being a starter?
Well, I think more than anything, he just wants to get his health underneath him. I think when you have the ability to go out every 5 days and know you're healthy, or being in the pen, you come out every day knowing you're healthy, then you can feel like you contribute in this game. And I think that's kind of been the biggest hurdle that he's been able to overcome.
Puto to Siriaco. And Puto will beat the throw. I know you guys keep a wary eye on somebody going head first into first base, but he was able to beat the throw there from Pedro.
I want to see the replay because, as we saw in yesterday's game, the umpire's listening for when that ball hits the glove. And usually there's a sound your foot makes when it hits the bag. Okay.
What do you think?
All right, that's okay. He beat it out. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, give him credit. Okay,
Sure.
tip my hat. But didn't have it yesterday. Yesterday's game.
Yeah, we've got those on tape for you. Bring them to you as we move on today. That was something.
And I'm thinking that's why more hitters are starting to go head first in the first base, because it's really not a smart play, really. But it does give you a chance to change that dynamic from what the umpire is looking and listening for. Here's the play from yesterday's game. Big situation, 2 outs, double play ball. And as you can see, he's out. Mark Todd stays hot, Buddy Black is hot, and again, it just changes that dynamic because they can't actually see the foot and the ball going. The foot hit the bag, ball go in the glove. They're listening for that sound, and it's a different sound.
And Marty Foster behind the plate today. He was over at first base. He got an earful, but you talk to Darren Balsley and Edinson Volquez, they want those calls for sure. But Edinson knows, he walked the bases full to get himself in a spot. As Fedorovich hammers that one foul.
Darren Balsley and I had a discussion about this about 2 homestands ago. And I said to him, I don't know why hitters down the first base dive first base. You don't get there any quicker. And he said, you know what? There was a show. What's the sports science show where they do all that stuff? They hook up the monitors to the athletes and stuff. And it got down to a millisecond, but they actually said diving head first is quicker than running through the bag. They did a full-on experiment, the whole thing. It was splitting hairs. It was a photo finish.
How about splitting bats?
Oh, my.
Turn it 2.
Forsythe. The Guzman. Double play.
That bat went right to Cashner. Talk about great concentration.
That's twice today. He's had to pick the ball out of the shards of wood. Nicely done, Andrew.
We talked about this earlier. He gets off the mound. He's in a good position to field the ground ball. And that's a nice backhand on the short hop, but he still is able.
Hey, a great turn by Forsythe as well.
A lot of dynamics in that play that just took place. First and foremost, just concentration not to get hit by the bat.
Did you ever get hit with a piece of lumber, Trevor, on a comebacker?
No, I was pretty lucky. I kind of stayed away from the flying obstacles coming at me, but it's the way the bat's been shattering lately over the last 5-6 years. It's and Tony can talk at greater length about ash and maple and how they're all made up and why they break, but it's definitely getting crazy.
Capuano almost a glove save by Casher, but Forsythe right there. And that's the side. Padres coming up, home half of the third. We're scoreless at Petco.
and it's time for the Fan Diego fans of the game. A lot of fans here this afternoon, and my goodness, you know what? Here's what I start thinking about when I see this guy. There was a 110 game, right? At what point of his day is he starting to put on the costume? Paint it on.
Hey, why am I taking Sweeney's spot when he's here in the stands?
Only because we couldn't pin a mic to it.
I had to put the monkey suit on. He's out in the stands in paint.
So that's our fan of the game.
Way to go, Swains.
Bottom of the third inning, Chris Capuano getting the start on 3 days rest for Don Mattingly's Dodgers.
Trevor, I've got a question for you. We're talking about rest for a starter. What is the most that you went out there as far as back-to-back days, 3 days, 4 days? Can you remember in your career?
Off the top of my head, I would say I had a chance to go out 5 days in a row.
Wow.
It was all predicated off a number of pitches in the game. I tried to be very conscious of the number of pitches I used warming up. And so if you can keep your pitch count down, then you're going to have the ability to go back-to-back days, because really getting up and pitching in the game isn't that big a deal as long as you don't go deep into counts.
Can't exactly argue that from him, can you?
And, I know Trevor took into consideration warm-up tosses, 8 pitches in between innings. A lot of it, there's a lot to consider.
Well, Pedro Siriaco. Is it Ethier? No, it's a diving play by Yasiel Puig. Looked like Ethier might have it, but Puig on the dive makes a nice play for the first out of the inning.
Puig, very athletic. I think Ethier wanted to call this ball, but see this freight train thing, Yasiel Puig running in the right center field, you're going to get out of his way.
I'll tell you what, down here on the side of the dugout, it looked like Cameron and Beltran going at it again, or Beltran going at it again.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Mike Cameron and Carlos Beltran. They were the Mets, correct?
Right. Yeah.
I got a feeling that would have been 1-0 Puig.
Yeah.
He is a big man. Andrew Kashner. 250 is the average on the season. Good hitter. Good bunt. As Trevor Hoffman would tell you, pretty good athlete, our pitchers. Nub this one, gets over Capuano. Uribe. Not in time.
That was a weird play just to listen to the crowd, because once it got over Capuano's head, I think the crowd thought for sure he was going to have a base hit. But Uribe comes on the short hop and beats it out.
Hey, when Andrew Kashner wants to get it going, he can put it into gear and get it going. Picking him up and putting him down for the right-hander. You talk about the best athlete on the field, and it's right there, the guy on the left.
No brainer. I think Uribe just a little surprised there. It's a quick. He was. Here's Logan Forsythe. Singled and was cut down as part of a double play in the first. Last 6 games, 360 average.
You're not going to see a lot of big leads over first base. We mentioned it earlier about Capuano since 2005. 5th in the majors, 27 pickoffs for the left-hander. So if in fact they're going to run, it's going to be on the first move. You can't wait until the guy goes to the plate. It's just going to be too late.
Well, Trevor's down there with a pretty good view. Trev, what do you see with Capuano in that move?
Well, he was pretty deliberate going to first there. Guys will have tendencies. It's a matter of figuring out what that is. But you definitely can't pick on one particular thing with Cap.
Outfield playing Forsythe. straight away. Infield at double play depth.
You know, I don't think you're going to get a real good move. Obviously, Gonzo's getting ready to go behind him, but you're not going to get your great move with a pitcher at first base. He's going to save that for his base runners.
Hey, Trevor, I'm taking a look at the way Capuano is standing on the rubber, and it reminds me of that instructional that the two of us did a couple of days back, where you talked about moving from left to right on the rubber and how that affects the angle of the pitch to the hitter.
Right, and he looks like he's almost his toes right in the middle of the rubber. So if he were to, go a little bit further forward, a little bit further backwards, it kind of creates that different angle that we talked about.
That Puig coming in. 2 down.
From another standpoint on the rubber, Mike, is if you see where he's standing, if let's say it's a bang play at first base on a pickoff, if he has the ability to move forward towards first base by that 6 inches and makes that same pick, you might get that extra inch on the guy and be able to pick him off. So sometimes the base runner can't see where you've moved around on the rubber. You might be able to sneak a couple inches on him.
That's interesting. Chris Denorfia bounced into a double play in the first inning. 10th double play of the season he's hit into. That leads the Padres.
You know what I used to do, Trevor and Mike and Tony? I used to, when I was starting, I would cover up the rubber I'd kick dirt over it. And for that reason, because I went from the center of the rubber, but like Trevor said, I had it in my mind. I would throw a pitch, and I already know if I'm going to go over to first base for a pickoff. So then by doing that, covering up the rubber, I would go to the extreme first base side to where just my toe of my shoe is touching the rubber because it has to be in contact. Right. Knowing that I'm not going to throw to the plate, I want to be quick. And like Trevor said, it might be 6-7 inches. That might be the difference in out and safe. So they couldn't really tell where I was on the rubber, if that makes any sense.
Hey, you've got to be crafty out there.
Yeah.
They ever get on you for covering the rubber with dirt?
No. In fact, you know how I learned that from? Roger Craig.
I'm laughing because a lot of times pitchers don't think we're paying attention, but we do. And we knew guys who went from one side of the rubber to the other who sometimes weren't touching the rubber when they threw a pitch. Those types of things. They're discussed on the bench. They're discussed in the locker room. We had a first base coach by the name of Greg Riddock who put his own video camera on the pitcher. In every game, we had footage of every starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And if you wanted it, it was there for you to kind of pick through.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Well, that was the old flamingo move from Capuano. You see the high leg kick, he kind of paused. It should be right about nap time for Tommy Lasorda. 2 o'clock.
Sure, this has been a hard watch for him this year.
His club 9.5 back in the West with the payroll at more than $217 million. Deuces wild. Hammer back off of Capuano.
Hockey suit.
Wow. And there is no play for Nick Punto, and Capuano up quickly. Seems to be okay.
I think that got him right in the backside. Solidly.
Now Denorfia just smoked this pitch.
This ball's going to leave a mark. It's going to leave a mark. He hit that right on the button. Ooh, right. It looked like the thigh.
You know what? He's lucky he didn't get his pitching hand in the way there. Talk about taking it right back up the box, guys.
Ooh. Not much vibration there. Got it right on the sweet spot. Backed it up nicely.
He seems to be okay, which is good news. Boy, after some of the balls back up the box we have seen this season, and pitchers getting hit and hurt.
He's doing his best job right now to man up a little bit. He's just trying to catch his breath. No emotion walking around, but that thing's biting right now.
Trevor, did you, because it was kind of tough, it happened so quickly, did you see exactly where he got him?
I didn't. It really was pretty quick. I know that it kind of got him in a fleshy part, which is a good thing. No elbows or shoulders or things like that, but it's stinging, and it's just kind of, at this point in time, you're trying to get that pain out of your head to try and make a quality pitch.
Yeah. 2 out now for the Padres with 2 outs. Capuano, that unorthodox move to second base.
Just more time for the pain to go away, as Trevor was talking about.
Biden time.
And the hit speed, we've talked about it before. The harder you hit a ball, more likely you are to hit safely and reach extra bases. So there you see 100 miles an hour, 95, 85. And the harder you hit it, chances of a home run are greater.
And the more it hurts. Upper thigh hit. 99.8 miles per hour.
Think about it. You're getting hit with a 99 mile an hour baseball.
Well, hitters have been saying that for years.
Yeah.
Pitchers. Well, Chase Headley with 2 on and 2 out. That's 3 RBIs in his series against the Dodgers. He's 4 for 11. 2 for 3 yesterday. 4 RBIs in his last 6 games.
Chase Headley, this is one of those at bats where is he going to cut that fastball in on your hand so you're looking for something inside, or is he going to turn it over and flip me a change up here so I'm looking for something away? And so
what are you looking here, Tony, if you're hitting?
If I'm him, I'm looking for the turn. He's going to turn it over.
There it is.
That Puig will give it a look.
See, now that he's gone out there a couple of times turning it over, now you kind of have to be aware for the cutter.
Well, I know pitchers are different and they think differently, but Trevor, if you're in this situation, you've got this battle going on. What are you throwing?
Yeah, I think along the lines of what Tony's saying, if you feel like a guy's reaching out to cover that part of the plate a little bit too aggressively, you got an opportunity to maybe sneak one in. But you also got to think game situation. You're in a 0-0 ball game early, but you don't want to give up a lead with a pitch that can get hit early. This point in time in the game.
And Capuano will get Headley there and get out of trouble. So the Padres strand 2 as the Dodgers come up in the 4th. Padres and the Dodgers. We are scoreless in the top of the 4th inning, and our Saquon Daycation strikeout stat of the day. Take a look at some of the Dodgers striking out in bunches since June 14th. Today is just the 23rd. Yasiel Puig, 10 punch outs. Adrian Gonzalez there with 7. A.J. Ellis not in the lineup today. And Puig.
Hey, it's all about execution, right, Mike? I mean, through time, at bats, video. Tony was talking about it. How quickly it travels, the information travels. That, you know, pitching coaches sit down with their pitchers and they talk about hitters in their weak spots. And you know, you can talk about the weak spots all day long, but it's about execution. And the Padre pitching staff, through time, has done that.
Well, like you had said, the word got out probably in the last couple of days on Puig, and the Padres have been able to keep him relatively quiet. I say relatively, because overall, Puig is hitting .435 with 6 home runs coming into the game today. And when he swings at that first pitch, Mark, and he puts it in play,
right,
he's hitting .867.
Ooh. Those are like softball beer league numbers.
Yeah, 13 of 15. So it'll be Skip Schumacher, the Dodger half of the 4th inning. Schumacher struck out in the first and was 2 for 5 in yesterday's game. Roll it to Siriaco. 1 down. Here's Yasiel Puig, feast or famine on a gorgeous Sunday. And when we talked about getting the scouting report out, Mark, I think this is what we're keeping an eye on.
Well, this little Puiggy went to market. This little Puiggy went home. This little Puiggy had roast beef, but this little Puiggy had none. And the last one you just saw, that little Puiggy went wee back to the dugout. Sliders down and away, 2-seamers in, fastballs in, not let them get extended. There you go.
Chase Headley, the hurry, and he pulls Guzman off the bag. And Puig is aboard.
You want to stay off the sweet spot. Look at this. Even though he misses with location, that's a 2-seam fastball. That's one of the pitches that Puig has been having difficulty catching up to. Why? Because of the movement down. He tops it. Now the race is on. And Chase Headley on the run. It just kind of works underneath a little bit. And the Phantom Cam, look at that. Down by the label, topped. Anytime you have a pitcher like Andrew Kastner, Jason Marquis with the 2-seam fastball, you will get a lot of top baseballs on the infield.
So they'll score that in error. And Puig is at first base.
Uncharacteristic, because Chase Headley usually does a good job of charging those balls and firing accurately to first base. Just worked underneath it a little bit.
That's kind of what speed will do for you too, guys. That's a tough play to come in on. Got a good hop, but he knows in the back of his mind what that time clock's going to be with him going down the line, and so you kind of get a little rush. You kind of get a little bit out of your sorts from what your comfort level is based off of his speed getting down the line.
You know, Trevor, I'd like to see a running race between Yasiel Puig and Mike Trout from the right side of the batter's box.
That'd be a good matchup. They're both aggressive runners. You know, you can see the energy they're putting out and getting down the line. And I mean, I'm in a good spot to watch this. Almost like the cheetah run out at the zoo.
I'll tell you what, too, the size those guys carry with that kind of speed and the power. I mean, you're talking 2 guys well over 230.
Looking to go.
Kastner got him, says Marvin Hudson. So the 22-year-old rookie trying to get a little adventurous out there, and Andrew Kastner would have none of it. Quick feet, quick arm, and a shotgun throw.
Somehow Cash felt him inching off and got himself unbalanced and was out there in no man's land, made it just turn and make a decent throw, and we had him dead to right there.
Forsythe will retire Gonzalez. Carlos Quentin, Kyle Blanks, Jesus Guzman. When we come back. Military Sunday, as you hear the Marine hymn, honoring all those who serve, as we do every Sunday here at Petco Park. Today, U.S. Navy Day. Mark Grant, Tony Gwynn, Trevor Hoffman. I'm Mike Pomerantz. Dick Enberg off today, heading to London to enjoy Wimbledon.
It never gets old, does it? Seeing the recruits and honoring the military.
Certainly does not. Cannot thank those folks enough.
And you know what? I know Trevor's one of the most humble gentlemen and pros out there, but I do want to ask him about when he was playing, because I know Trevor and his wife Tracy come from military families. Trevor, you were very influential in the military community. Were you not, as far as tickets for military?
Well, it was just really a natural fit, Mud, having both our fathers Marines. Being in a military town like San Diego is, it seemed like a natural fit for our family to support the men and women of our armed services, and also really their families, because their families commit so much time and energy with their loved ones away. And so tickets were a part of it. Stuff behind the home plate that we're able to offer. We're involved in the Marine Corps Scholarship Fund now, so it's just pretty awesome to be a part of it.
Well, you certainly didn't have to do it, and the fact that you did, I think, means a lot to a lot of people. And you make a great point. I mean, we all support the folks who are serving, but those families left behind, the home front. Maybe create a little diversion, give them a chance to come out to the ballpark and celebrate the freedoms that their spouses provide. Thank you. Carlos Quentin in the Padre half of the fourth inning.
Here comes a changeup down and away.
And Marty Foster says, yes, sir. First out of the inning.
2-2, and Fedorovich gives him the good target. And look at him stick that pitch right there. That's good location. Is it high enough? Right at the knees for a called third.
It's Capuano's third strikeout today. Hasn't walked a hitter. And that'll bring up Kyle Blanks. Singled in the second and was stranded. Blanks has been battling stiff back here in the last couple of days. Thought he was going to play yesterday. Was in a lineup initially and then scratched. Like you said earlier, I think you and Tony both, hey, everything hurts everybody at this point in the year.
And you know, with that said, there's a lot of work in that clubhouse. And it's worth mentioning because those guys are just first ones there, last ones to leave. Todd Hutchison, Paulie Navarro, Rick Stauffer, Phil Kerr, Brett McCabe. They do just an outstanding job at trying to get these Padres out on the field. And Trevor, you've been in that situation. You've been in that clubhouse where in the trainer's room, those guys just work diligently down there.
Hey man, that's awesome. You give those guys a plug because it's a job that's really a truly thankless job in the time that they put in, but they truly love the work that they do, the product that they get to put out there on the field, but the work they do inside that training room. And at times it can become a bit of a mash unit, and they get down. They have their ups and downs they got to get through as well. But when they can do the time and the energy they put into these guys and get them on the field, it's a feather in their cap. So it's great you gave them some love, man.
I think you make a great point, both of you guys. I mean, these are the guys who only hear when things are going poorly. That's when everybody knows who they are and what's going on. When things are going well,
there's Paulie Navarro.
Underappreciated. Full count pitch, hammer to center field. Ethier. 2 down.
I don't even think that was Kyle Blank's best swing. It was off the end of the bat. And look how far of a ride he gave that. He's just so big and strong. So Capuano doing a good job on 3 days rest up to this point, hitting his spots. Not only with the fastball, but let's see where he got this one. Oh, it was down towards the sweet spot a little bit, but out in front a little bit.
I don't know what I enjoy more of that Phantom Cam, the bat quivering or the compression of the baseball. It's amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, when they slow that down. I was told 5 to 6 times slower than what viewers at home are used to seeing as slow motion. Jesus Guzman. He flied out in the second inning. And for Capuano, as you mentioned, pitching on just 3 days rest, just recorded his 1,000th career strikeout when he got Quinton to open the frame. It'd be sure nice if the Padres get something going and early. Weren't able to get a run across against Zach Greinke yesterday until the 8th inning in a 6-1 loss. As they seek to win yet another series. Oh, Mark, San Diego hadn't lost the series at home since May 20th. It was against St. Louis. St. Louis, the National League Central Division leaders right now. They're 47 wins. Ball lifted out softly to Ethier. And the side is retired, so we are scoreless as we head to 5. And it's a full house here at the ballpark and a full house at a viewing party in Coronado, and that's where Mark Sweeney is today. Mark?
We're here at Tidelands Park over in Coronado Island. What a beautiful day, and it's family day, and you have your family out here. How's this today?
Oh, it's excellent, though. The weather's beautiful. The game's on. What more can you ask for?
And we also have a Chase Headley fan here, don't we?
His name is Chase as well. He's a little sleepy right now, kind of afraid to look in the camera, but he's great. He's happy to be out here.
It's always good to have families out here, and we're experiencing a beautiful day. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, gentlemen. It is gorgeous, and the watchful eyes of Tony Gwynn out at the park. Trevor Hoffman is with us as well, and Tony Gwynn's in the booth. A lot more animated than the statue. We've got a great one going on here at Petco today. This is game 4, the final one of this 4-game set between the Padres and the Dodgers. The Padres took the first 2, lost yesterday 6-1, and Andrew Kashner spinning a gem here today. Hanley Ramirez, the lead off for the Dodgers. His numbers during this current 5-game hitting streak are pretty impressive. You knew he was going to get hot eventually.
Yeah.
Too many skills not to be.
Yeah, and you know, he looks healthy this year. Last year when they got him, didn't look healthy to me. And yesterday, this ball got out in like 4.2 seconds, and it went to the third deck.
Yeah, that was a collective yikes.
Yeah, and he's starting to swing the bat, and I think that's, if the Dodgers are going to turn this thing around, to me, he's the key guy in this lineup.
Well, nice play up here near the press box on a Ramirez foul ball. But he's been hot in odd situations, Don Mattingly said. He's been hitting over 400 against righties. But like you said, battling back from injuries, you're not going to get a break against Andrew Kashner. Trevor, I know you're down there keeping an eye on Andrew, and he's always impressed us with how free and easy he is with that fastball, but his location has been pretty sharp into this start. What do you see from him today?
Yeah, you know, he's just, like you said, very free and easy, just kind of hides his velocity extremely well. And, you know, he kind of almost got away with a strike up in the zone right there, but has mixed his pitches up well. He's kind of had Hanley a little bit out in front, and then has busted him in with his heater a couple times. And, you know, that's a key to Hanley. You kind of want to get his timing disrupted with his front, you know, his leg lift. And if Cash can keep doing that, he's going to have success with him.
Trevor, I think you're exactly right, because that was a hanging breaking ball right there. And his timing was off enough where the best he could do was foul that off.
How about that? Textbook. Going off speed, he'll get Ramirez for the first out of the inning. Just his second strikeout of the day.
And not only a good changeup, but the location of the changeup had a little bit of run inside.
Yep.
See Hanley trying to get his barrel out in front of that, and his way out in front. And right now, both pitchers are kind of dominating this game right now. They're both locating real well, throwing a lot of strikes, working ahead, not many base runners.
One out. Here's Andre Ethier. Kashner had a busy second inning, and Ethier was part of that. 2 of the 3 outs that inning recorded in part by Andrew's defensive contributions. Ethier grounded out. Then Uribe did the same. And this ball is rolled softly to Forsythe as Kashner covers. 2 down.
He made that play look easy, and it's not that easy a play.
No, it's not. I think Guzzi getting out of the way and letting Forsythe take over that play was the best part about it, so that Cash kind of was running into the ball rather than Guzzi running away from him at the bag. It run 100 times in spring training, and in middle of June is when it becomes most important. Yep. So it's a great job right there, those guys.
Yep, great lead by Forsythe on the throw.
Here's Juan Uribe. Uribe hitless in 4 trips yesterday, hitless in 1 today. Every time I look at Andrew Cashner throw, I go back to when Buddy Black was trying to make the argument that perhaps he'd be more serviceable and helpful as a starter than a reliever because he loved his body type. He said he could handle that 200-plus inning expectation. And when you watch him throw, you get it.
I want to ask Trevor about this because to me, when I would watch pitchers, the first thing I would look for was composure. Do they get upset when a ball's not called a strike or somebody makes a bad play? You just look at Cashner's demeanor right now. He just looks confident with everything he's throwing. And even though he's behind the count right now, he still feels like he's in control.
Yeah, T, you're right on, and that's just really his personality on the mound. When you do have that, and you can harness that, you're able to make pitches. You're not going to, like you're saying, you're not going to get rallied. You're not going to get caught up in the exterior stuff that you don't have control over,
yeah.
And that's one of the best things he has going for him. We obviously know he has the great stuff, but more importantly, he's growing into that stuff, and he's got the maturity level with his mindset that doesn't get out of whack. So that's a great point.
See 3-1 right there. He didn't give in. He threw him 3-1 changeup.
That ball is hammered past Blanks off the Pitco side of the right field corner. Uribe will coast in easily with a stand-up double. Well, that was the first 3-ball count Andrew Cashner had worked with so far today, and only the second hit allowed.
Here, 3-1 fastball, a little bit elevated. You got to give Uribe credit. He didn't try to pull that ball. He went right with it. Battles off the board. Blanks does a nice job getting this ball back in. And really, one of the things I like right here is, okay, you gave up the 2-out hit. Uribe in scoring position. Nick Hundley went right to the pitcher's mound to have a conversation with Cashner, and I'm sure he's saying, hey, let's make a pitch, make a quality pitch right here, and we'll get out of this.
Well, prior to Uribe's hit, the double, Punto had the only other Dodger hit, a single coming back in the third, and Dodgers with runners in scoring position this series, 3 of 22, 136. Advantage Cashner, we hope.
That bode well for LA. 3 for 22 with runners in scoring position makes it difficult to put runs on the board. I'm sure that's driving Mark McGwire crazy, the Dodger hitting coach.
Here's the 1-1 to Punto. Quetno give it a chase and well foul. Cashner is able to hit the spots, able to show that velocity. As Trevor and you've mentioned before, can still reach back and flirt with 100 when he needs to.
Yep.
But that changeup,
that's the equalizer.
that differential that Trevor Hoffman talks about being so important, that seems to be where Cashner will really make you look bad up there. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Juan Uribe at second base. Well, you got to get out of there quickly.
Well, we saw in that bat with Ramirez that because he's a different type of hitter, you can throw him a changeup, you can throw him a breaking ball. Punto's a little bit different. He's a contact guy. He's not looking to do too much. So a lot of times with a guy like Punto, you don't want to speed his bat throwing a changeup or a curveball.
And Punto into center field, but nice running catch by Chris Denorfia. No harm, no foul. Juan Uribe stranded at second after the double. Here come the Padres. Home half of the 5th inning on a sun-splashed Military Sunday here at Petco, honoring the United States Navy today. And the blankets are out at Park at the Park. One of the best seats in the house. Trevor Hoffman down by the dugout. Tony Gwynn. Mark Grant, Mike Pomeranz with you in the booth today. Padres looking to do a little damage here and avenge a 6-1 loss yesterday. They've won 2 of the 3 games so far in the series. Nick Hundley will lead things off, 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the 2nd inning. If you're tuning in late, Chris Capuano getting the start, asking for the start on 3 days rest. There you go, little one. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. A little trouble in River City.
Yeah.
Nick Hundley, bouncer, and Ramirez behind the bag. 1 down. We're still smiling, but negotiations continue, and they are tense.
Let me see that ball. Let me see that ball.
Uh-oh. That's on borrowed time. Gives it the race. Well done. An artful negotiator. Pedro Siriaco lined out to Yasiel Puig, who made a beautiful catch in the 3rd inning. But Trevor, I imagine it gets a little bit tense down there when you're looking to take a series and continue playing well the way the Padres have, and you're looking to scratch something across.
Yeah, these are, they're always things for us to talk about for sure. They're just wanting to get that first run on the board. I think you get that early lead or that late, the first lead of the game would definitely take a lot of pressure off this situation.
I'll tell you what, pitching on 3 days rest, Capuano's not having any trouble whatsoever. Getting all his pitches over for strikes.
Yeah, his velocity's been there, and his almost changeup's worked even better than I've seen in the past because of probably that.
Well, we talked about it earlier. He asked for the ball. Don Mattingly said, he was getting the sign off from all the higher ups, and he wasn't quite sure it was the right thing to do to let Chris have the ball, but he said, all right, take a whack at it. Remember, Capuano came off the disabled list June 19th with that shoulder strain. We talked about his history of arm problems.
Yep. Trevor's right. A guy like Capuano on 3 days rest, his stuff's going to move a whole lot more than normal.
Really get Siriaco there. His 4th strikeout of the game. It'll bring up Andrew Cashner. Cashner came in hitting .250, and he singled in the 3rd inning.
He had the bunt hit in San Francisco that drove in a run. And then the infield hit tonight, so
saying he's due to go
he's
deep.
feeling pretty confident right now.
He was acting like a hitter going down the line, boy. When it got by Capuano, he was smelling the hit.
We've seen him steal a bag. He can run a little bit. And Capuano would have none of it there. He strikes out Siriaco and then Cashner to retire the Padres in the 5th. you by Petco, where the healthy pets go. And by Farmers Insurance. Contact your local agent at 888-96-FARMERS. And by your San Diego County Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a luxurious Lexus automobile today. We are scoreless, and Andrew Kashner is throwing a gem. He has been razor sharp on this gorgeous Sunday afternoon. The fourth and final game between these two teams in this particular series. Boy, hard to believe. After today's game, the Padres and Dodgers will have played 13 of the 19 games they'll play all season. The legend Vin Scully calling the action for LA, and the National League West standings, not where Vin or the Dodgers would like to see their team. I hear no crying on behalf of Padre fans. Dodgers there 9.5 out behind Arizona. Padres 3.5 games back going into action today.
Now, ain't that some kind of nice?
Who you worried about on that list?
Dodgers.
Are you?
Will they get healthy? I think they're going to make a run.
Diamondbacks?
Giants are always concerned to me.
Yeah, you know, Butch does a great job with them.
What do
I
you
think
think,
Arizona's for real, though.
You think, though, I mean, that makes great discussion because every team has their skid, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how rare is it for a team to go through a whole season without having that 8-game losing streak?
Yeah. Well, you look at the division, you're right, the Dodgers really haven't had a run yet. They haven't had, you know, that stretch where they've won 5 or 6 in a row.
The Padres 7-3 in their last 10. Maybe the hottest team right now is a team that the Padres just saw not long ago, Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
They won again today. Beat the Orioles 13-5. That's 11 in a row.
Well, sometimes it's just when you play them. Padres played the Blue Jays at the right time.
Took 2 out of 3. And Tim Fedorovich draws the first walk of the day issued by Andrew Kashner.
As you take a look at the breakdown for Andrew Kashner, we've got ourselves a good old-fashioned pitcher's duel here. Now Andrew Kashner looking back to the infielder, seeing who he's got on a comebacker, and he was pointing at Pedro Siriaco at shortstop. Maybe pop up a bunt here.
Looking to get him in the scoring position here.
Boy, Capuano, he actually touched his knee to the dirt and then got up a little bit before he attempted that sacrifice bunt.
But Tony, you talk about the technique involved there, and I always find it interesting because it's, in many cases, right, hitting so much easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
But keeping that barrel above the knob and
Mm-hmm.
trying to lower yourself instead of dropping the bat head. You think that's a lost art?
It is. It is. You know, in college we work on it an awful lot, but at the pro level, at the big league level.
He'll get this one down. Kashner will take it. But Capuano does his job, and he'll push Tim Fedorovich over to second base, and the Dodgers will have a runner in scoring position for Skip Schumacher.
Well, it was noticed before the game that Capuano on a 75 pitch count today, so he gets the job done. Peter Moylan is up in the pen, so rather than wasting somebody, that's great. You can see the ball off the barrel of the bat.
I just don't know about having your knee down on the ground like that. I mean, you're giving yourself up, but you put your knee on the ground like that. That bunt better be in the perfect spot, because otherwise,
you get it out. Yeah, you lose something up and then you're done.
Yeah, you can. And Kashner tried to come in on him a little bit on that pitch. And I've seen it where guys get on a knee and get a hit one in the back of the hand or catch a finger.
Schumacher is 0 for 2 today. Big numbers, though, against right-handers, as you see his runners in scoring position average of 239. In his career, he's a .302 hitter against righties.
He's a tough out.
He'll wrap this one sharply to Guzman. Will take it himself, and Fedorovich will move over to third base.
And I think one of the reasons why he's a tough out, like Tony mentioned the other day, he sprays the ball where it's pitched. He uses the whole field. He doesn't have one mode in that mind of his when he's at the plate.
And that's why in these kind of situations, it's a little bit tougher facing your Nick Puntos and your Skip Schumachers, because they're not looking to hit the ball out of the ballpark. They're just looking to put the ball in play wherever you throw it.
Now here's a situation where you really can't pitch around Puig because there is first and second base open. You've got Adrian Gonzalez on deck, but it's all about execution. We showed you earlier how the Padres pitching staff has been throwing to Puig.
Yeah.
If Andrew Kastner executes, he should have no problem, and Adrian Gonzalez should lead off next inning.
Well, he's quickly ahead of him, and this ball wrapped sharply to Forsythe, but Mark Grant, you, sir, are correct, as Andrew Kastner will put the hammer down on the Dodgers.
Now bottom six, still no score, and it's looking like the Padres bullpen might be coming in here shortly. Of course, that's where we head to, and it never hurts to have reinforcement in that area, right, says Buddy Black. And the Padres got a few fresh arms coming in today. Brad Brock and Miles Michaelis both here today, as Anthony Bass and Brad Boxberger, went back down to AAA Tucson. So guys, it's good news. A few more extra arms out here for Buddy Black to look at if he needs to. Second stint, of course, for Brad Brock, who last year we know how great he was with inherited runners, has had a chance to go down to AAA Tucson, build up the confidence, work on strikes. That's what he said was his job when he was sent down. So we'll see what happens as this game goes along.
Yeah, you see both of those guys. And we talked about it in the open, Kelly. Thanks very much for the update and report. We talked about it in the open that, look, if you've got to shuttle guys up and down, at least Buddy and Darren are very familiar with what they have below the big league level.
And I think those guys know that as well. They've got part of that equation is knowing in your mind, hey, I'm going to be one of those shuttle guys. And you better have the right attitude when you do it.
Here's Peter Moylan, the new Dodger pitcher, on in relief of Chris Capuano, whose day is done. Throwing on 3 days rest. Capuano goes 4 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts, 74 pitches on a 75 pitch limit. So he does what Don Mattingly had hoped he would do and turn the ball over to Mr. Moylan.
So now it's time to get some runs for Mr. Kastner, who's pitching his little heart out.
Again, he's been very consistent, as Andrew. Bullpen, on the other hand, for the Dodgers, not so good. Second highest pen ERA in the National League. Boy, nice play deep in the hole, and Logan Forsythe beats it out. It looked like he'd have beat that out anyway. As Ramirez gave it all he had, but Logan Forsythe gets things going for San Diego here in the home half of the 6th.
Forsythe hits this ball in the hole. Ramirez tries to set his feet to make a strong throw, but up the line a little bit, and see Adrian has to come off the bag to get it.
You know, that goes back to the point Trevor Hoffman made when he was down on the field. You know, speed brings you so much, and it's in the back of the mind of the infielders. When you make that play, there's really no room for error. You have to be quick, and that may be the difference, that throw being on target.
And that'll bring up Kristen Orfia. Singled and grounded into a double play today.
It's a good situation for the Padres. You got a guy on first, Forsythe who can run.
Hit and run
guy
action.
at the plate who can handle the bat.
And there goes Logan. The throw from Fedorovich. In time, says Tim McClellan. And trying to get something going. Tim Fedorovich would cut down Logan Forsythe for the first out of the inning.
I was thinking right along with you there, Tony. The formula for a hit and run. Moylan looks like he flips a slider down and away.
Well, the key to this is the pitch. It's a bad pitch.
Yeah.
See, Norfia tries his best to get his bat on that, but it's a slider out of the zone. Fedorovich does a great job coming out of the chute with an accurate throw. Nice tag by Ramirez. Moylan pitched on Thursday night. Went in and in the third, gave up a couple of runs, gave up the home run to Sariaco.
Dino back up Punto for the second out. So Moylan gets a little help from Tim Fedorovich's catcher. He'll throw out Logan Forsythe, who had singled for the first out. Then he gets the Norfia there, and Chase Headley will come up as Paco Rodriguez, young left-hander, gets loose in the Dodger pen. Chase is 0 for 2 today. Hitting about 20 points better from the left side than he does from the right this season. Padres had their 8-game winning streak at Petco snapped yesterday in a 6-1 loss.
Time to start another one today.
Believe it.
Got the Fighting Phils coming in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Got some business to take care of here, though.
And a reminder, we do have a special show for you coming up tomorrow. We're going to focus on the bullpen and the great history of those relievers here in San Diego. The late Darrell Ackerfeld, so much influence there. We'll highlight those guys and talk about what makes them so special as Chase Headley lifts a 2-out pitch to left. Schumacher under it. Nothing doing for the Padres in the 6th. We are scoreless. 7th inning coming up.
Alongside Trevor Hoffman, I'm Laura McKeeman out at our Padres live set, and we're getting you ready for the postgame show. Knotted up in a pitcher's duel. And how about Andrew Kashner, Trevor?
Well, Cash has done a great job today mixing his pitches, being effective with his fastball. You see the changeup, getting people out late in counts, and really been an athlete out there on the mound and also at the plate. So hopefully can continue this thing, see us all the way to the end.
Well, when we see you in the postgame show, we'll have more from Trevor Hoffman on Andrew Kashner. We'll also have an interview with tomorrow's starter, Eric Stultz, and that will be our exclusive look at what he has to say about facing the Phillies. Gentlemen?
Oh, look forward to that, Laura and Trevor. Thank you much. Andrew Kashner's line, you see there, very efficient, 72 pitches as he greets the Dodgers here in their half of the 7th inning. Adrian Gonzalez to lead things off. He's 0 for 2. He flied out to center field in the first and grounded out to second in the fourth. Mark Grant, Tony Gwynn, Mike Pomeranz with you on a military Sunday. Two balls, no strikes. And Gonzalez wraps this one down the right field line into the corner. He'll make a bid for 2. And he's in easily with a pop-up double. 16th of the season.
Looked like a changeup from Kashner. Yeah, it was. Elevated just a little bit. He hooks it right down the line.
And a couple of those pitches up early, up and away. So Andrew Kashner's first couple of pitches up in the zone. This might be a situation, guys, where, you know, Darren Balsley or Buddy Black are talking on the phone, and Willie Blair over near the bullpen phone anticipating a phone call to get somebody up.
Here's Hanley Ramirez. And that long home run, the third deck of the Western Metal Supply Company building yesterday.
Nick Vincent heating up, getting ready, getting the hose loosened up.
Ramirez is hitless in 2 trips today.
You can see the way that Andrew Kashner is going to work Hanley Ramirez. The Fox Tracks brought to you by my good friends at Southland Technology, Grace Pedigo and Chris Selman here in the booth enjoying a big league ball game. We thank them for all they do. Good people at Southland.
No balls, 2 strikes. Adrian Gonzalez at second base, and we talk about it all the time. There are a handful of points along the course of any game where a pitcher is under tremendous stress. It's kind of funny to a fan when you consider any time you're out there in a big league field, it's tremendous stress, but it's one of those situations with the score at 0-0. Got to make a pitch.
What you need here is either a strikeout or a ground ball to the left side. Keep that runner at second base.
That'll move Gonzalez over, and Ramirez is the first out of the inning.
Got to give Ramirez credit. He did a nice job there. 0-2.
Fastball right down the middle. Fastball located away.
Fastball in on his hand.
You know what he did there? He did a nice job at trying to inside out that to get that runner over.
Took his hands inside the ball, hit that ball to the right side. I'm sure he'll get high fives from his teammates as he gets back to the dugout.
Infield brought in right here, guys, with Andre Ethier stepping in. 1 out, and Adrian Gonzalez at third. Ethier getting 194 with runners in scoring position.
A big lead at third base from Adrian Gonzalez, as Andrew Kashner elects to go from the windup with the runner on third and less than 2 outs.
Adrian Gonzalez pretending like he was possibly thinking about stealing home, but he's not gonna.
Good pitch from Cashner, 0-2.
Couple of two-seam fastballs right there.
We'll take it.
High fastball. Another thing, if Andrew Cashner elects to throw that changeup or breaking ball, Nick Hundley has got to be on his A game to smother that ball, because 90 feet away is Adrian Gonzalez.
And the other part of that, if he does throw that changeup and Ethier is out in front, could be a soft hit ball.
Siriaco will look Gonzalez back and fire across the diamond, 2 down.
That's some good pitching right there by Andrew Cashner. It looked like a breaking ball, and Ethier topped. Kept it on the infield.
Get one more look at it.
Oh, a high breaker.
Yeah, like a high slider.
Freeze him.
Bring that infield in tight.
Check the runner. Make sure he commits back to the third base bag and throw him out at first.
Here's Juan Uribe. And Uribe drives this one inside the chalk at first base, and Adrian Gonzalez will score Uribe in safely with his second double of the game. It is 1-0 Los Angeles.
Not a whole lot you can do with that. I mean, good pitch. Uribe, just like he did the last time, it's out over the plate, doesn't try to pull it, goes with it. Inside the bag at first.
And Tony, it looked like he wanted that inside on the plate, but it leaked outer third. Up into that point after the double. 7 consecutive strikes. The 8th strike is inside the bag for an RBI double.
That's the second time Uribe went to the right field corner. And Nick Punto will roll this one over to Logan Forsythe for the third out. But the Dodgers are able to pick up one in their half of the 7th inning. It was a double by Adrian Gonzalez. He would get moved to third base courtesy of Hanley Ramirez, and then Juan Uribe would drive him in. It's time now for the 7th inning stretch. And God bless America here at Petco in San Diego.
From the Navy Band Southwest. Please sing along as Maya presents God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
MU3, Maya Rodriguez.
by Saquon. Real friendly, real close. And by the Aramco Group. Purchase, refinance, reverse. Phantom Cam. Slower than slow-mo. Through the weekend. Happy to have it. And, great technological advance. Really something to see, that Phantom Cam. Bottom of the 7th inning, 1-0 Dodgers. They pick up a run on 2 hits in their half of the 7th. And Carlos Quentin will look to get that back for the Padres. Carlos flied out to right field in the 2nd inning, struck out in the 4th.
Well, like Chris Capuano from the left side, with Moylan, you got to stay back as well because.
How about that? Is that staying back?
Oh, believe it.
Get out of here. Carlos Quentin, home run. Let's go, Mark Grant. Home run number 8 for Carlos Quentin, and we are tied at 1.
Like how the Dodgers had to scratch for their 1-run, 2-out hit.
Hanging slider.
Hanging slider, and boom, game's tied.
Happy Shillelagh. Busted out.
Crushed. Everybody plays nicked up. Isn't that what we just said? And it left the yard in a hurry.
96.3 off the bat of Carlos Quentin. Hey, in a game like this, what's it going to be? A bad pitch? A miscue on the field?
Carlos.
Somebody throwing to the wrong base?
Yeah, mistake. And Moylan comes back and he'll get blanks for the first out. Love the no doubters when our guys get them.
Oh, yeah.
I just love the fact that the game turned around on one swing of the bat right there, where the Dodgers had to, get a 2-out knock to drive in their run. One swing of the bat and the game's tied.
Nice swing of the bat here. Guzman goes into left, but Schumacher will make the play for the 2nd out. And that'll bring up the catcher, Nick Hundley. A couple of hits there by Logan Forsythe and a big hit by Carlos Quentin.
I love homers.
Absolutely. Nick struck out in the 2nd. Grounded out in the 5th. And has caught a very nice ball game. Ethier at the track. Side retired, but not before Carlos Quentin lays into one, and we are knotted at 1. A lot of action here at the ballpark, a lot of action out of Coronado, and that's where Mark Sweeney is today. Mark?
We're going over some hitting lessons here with Stanley at Coronado Island. And Stanley, I want you to get in your stance so you can take a swing for me. You ready? What a great swing. And we're here with Stanley, a future Padre. And what do you have to say, Stanley?
Go Padres!
Back to you guys.
Attaboy, Stanley. Cutie.
I like it,
awesome.
Stanley.
A viewing party in Coronado, and they got a view of this guy, Carlos Quinton. Down 1-0. He comes up in the bottom of the 7th and delivers.
Yeah, now look at this swing. This is position A. This is exactly where you want to be. At contact, you see the top hand, the palm is up. The bottom hand is in a flex position. You got the perfect V. And as they let it go, watch that top hand go flying over the top. There's not a lot of guys that can consistently hit. That's a hanging slider right there. And you get the contact in that position, good things are going to happen.
And you know what they say? You hangy, he bangy.
You know, he gets a chance to take home a souvenir, but Carlos, you know, relishes that opportunity, as I think a lot of position players do, right? To pick up your team when they're down. And Andrew Cashner throwing a great game, gives up a run as he makes the play here to throw out Fedorovich. And then Carlos gets up, down 1-0. He's got to feel great.
Yeah, you know, if you're Andrew Cashner, I mean, you saw him pounding on the dirt after giving up that two-out knock, and really before he could sit down and analyze it, the game is tied. Carlos Quinton hits a hanging breaking ball for a home run.
Tony, I was just going to mention that, and to have Andrew Cashner come back out here for this inning, he knows, you know, bang the run of Dodgers, quickly run for the Padres to get in this 8th inning, the top of the 8th, and have a quick 8th inning so the Padres can do some damage in the bottom of the 8th. But I think that's another reason why Andrew Cashner has turned the corner. I mean, realizing, looking at the big picture, that I'm not going to let one pitch, one at-bat beat me, or get to me, I should say, and then that will lead to beating me. I think he's done a great job at doing that. Look at the pitch count, too. Only 86.
Yeah, in the 8th inning, 86 pitches. He's sitting good. He's throwing strikes.
There's Jerry Harrison Jr. pinch hitting. 272, 38 ball games this season. One for 3 against Cashner. Now 1 for 4.
You love that. Those first pitch outs.
Oh, yeah.
Got in there, got a ground ball.
You hear the young players talk about how hard it is to harness that kind of power and command the strike zone that way, and he really does stand, I think, head and shoulders above a lot of young guys with big arms. His ability to work both sides of the plate, up and down, the quadrants you guys talk about all the time.
Well, the next pitch for Andrew will be number 90.
Joe Thatcher, Luke Gregerson.
Thatcher up there for situational, Gregerson for the whole inning.
Skip Schumacher is 0 for 3.
Cashner's spot is coming up second here in the bottom of the inning. So who knows? If Soriaco gets on to lead off the inning, they might just ask Cashner to run him in the scoring position. Pitch count is good.
Another nice play by Andrew Cashner. 7-pitch inning, all strikes. Andrew Cashner is dealing. We're tied at 1. Game today, Andrew Kashner. Probably the storyline. There are a couple, but he's thrown a wonderful ball game. 8 innings thrown so far. He's going to be up second in this inning should Buddy Black Loud stick around, but a great effort all the way around. And the scoring limited. Juan Uribe, a couple of doubles and RBI. That put the Dodgers on the board in the top of the 7th inning, but the Padres would answer back and loudly. Carlos Quentin, a solo shot, and that's where we stand here in the bottom of the 8th. 1-1. Mark Grant, Tony Gwynn, Trevor Hoffman, Lauren McKeeman, Kelly Crow, Mike Pomeranz. With you today is Andrew Kashner. It's like, Darren Balsley saying congratulations, but you know Andrew, he's a gamer.
Yeah, did you see him there? Balsley extends his hand, and Andrew's like, I'm not biting. I still want to go back out there.
I've only thrown 92 pitches, man. I could finish this off.
What a great job. You know, you talk about his pitching, but how about the 1-3 plays? Very athletic on the mound. He had a pickoff over at first base, picking himself up, and also a base hit. A great afternoon for the big league right-hander.
He's still discussing it. But, buddy, what if the leadoff guy gets on? You want me to bunt?
Yeah. It's not too late, right, until he's announced the pinch hitter?
That's correct.
So,
hey, how about this?
Maybe he's negotiating.
Siriaco gets on, right? Kashner butts in over. And then they score about 6 runs. He could still be in the game, right?
Well, Will Venable still on the on-deck circle. Andrew.
Didn't help right there that Siriaco swung at the first pitch. Didn't help his argument very much.
All the what-ifs go out the window in a hurry, right?
The leadoff guy doesn't get on.
Houston Street. Get the ball if the Padres can put one on the board here. Will Venable. Remember Paco Rodriguez, who's in now for the Dodgers, gave up that key hit to Chase Headley. That broke up that tight game on Thursday.
Hey, nice to see Jason Marquis chatting with Andrew Kashner there. Going over his outing. Oh, hey now, it doesn't have to be.
I think Marty Foster is glad to keep things quiet from his end today behind the plate after the trouble he had at first base umpiring yesterday. And Will Venable going down the right field line and foul.
Well, if that's a fair ball, that could be 3 bases right there. Rodriguez tried to throw Venable a breaking ball right there, and he stayed back on it just a little bit out in front. His hands coming through just right off the end, just a little bit out in front.
One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out to Venable. And a dip into your meal money, Mark Grant, buy one of those Phantom cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Have them every day.
Next road trip.
How about it?
Count on it.
Well, Venable has 10 home runs, 26 RBIs this season. And he'll bounce this one back to Rodriguez for the 2nd out of the inning. Every pitch critical, magnified here at the back end of a ball game as we're tied at 1. 2 outs, home half of the 8th.
Don Mattingly's not going to take any chances here.
Dodgers are quick to trade him out, and they'll do so here. Back with more action in a moment.
Returns to New York with a home field advantage for the World Series on the line. It's the 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game live from New York, July 16th, only on Fox. And you want to set the DVR so you can be propped up in that Barca lounger with a cold Frosty. You watch the All-Star Selection Show on Fox, July 6th, 6:30 Eastern, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. It's the All-Star Game from Citi Field in New York, 4:30 on Fox, July 16th. Get your baseball fix on Fox. Mike?
Got to get out there and vote early and often.
Just like Chicago.
Believe it. Brandon League is the new Dodger pitcher here with 2 outs in the 8th inning. League pitched against the Padres on Friday. Threw an inning, allowed a run. Logan Forsythe has a couple of hits today. Flied out in the 3rd. Caught stealing, trying to make something happen in the 6th, and was cut down as part of a double play in the 1st. This ball sharply sliding play by Uribe. And Brandon League comes in, gets 1 out, and that'll do it for the Padres in the 8th. We're tied at 1. Park at the Park, just outside the outfield wall here at Petco on a gorgeous Sunday. Really appreciate you spending some time with us as we honor the United States Navy today. Team in its camo uniforms, and a wonderful day for baseball. We're tied at 1. Mark Grant, Tony Gwynn, Mike Pomeranz call the action, and what action there has been has really been from the pitchers today. Andrew Kashner and Chris Capuano squaring off in a marvelous pitchers duel. Padre run coming courtesy of a Carlos Quinton home run in the bottom of the 7th inning after the Dodgers would score in the top of that frame. And that's where we stand. We're knotted at 1, and Houston Street is the new Padre pitcher.
Well, last time out for Houston, he got that save. That was a couple days ago. So now the save is out the window now that we're going to the 9th inning and it's tied.
He's got to get through the heart of the Dodger lineup. Yasiel Puig, then Adrian Gonzalez, and Hanley Ramirez. Important ball game, as they all are for the Padres, who entered action today 3.5 games behind the Diamondbacks, who are losing in the bottom of the 7th inning right now to the Reds 4-0. Off speed to Puig, and like you guys have mentioned all day, scouting report is out. It's a matter of execution, right?
That's correct.
They've already got the T-shirts printed. Slider again.
You're going to keep throwing it until you show us you can hit it.
And great location from Houston Street. When he is on his game, he is hitting those corners with the best of them.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Puig. Got him swinging. Off-speed stuff away, hard stuff in. And he gets him here.
Fastball, bats like. Breaking balls, bats afraid.
Well, he should be 0 for 4 today. Instead, he's 1 for 4. Official scorer decided to change a call, but Dodgers have done a good job keeping him off the bases.
Got to be careful with that fastball way to Adrian Gonzalez, because we know how many of his home runs have gone the opposite way. And Houston Street knows that.
Yeah. See, these next 2 guys, they're harder to trick.
Well, he doubled and scored the Dodgers' only run in the 7th. Those Marine recruits enjoying Military Sunday here at the ballpark, and they're on their way out. Thank you to all of you who serve. Everybody at the home front as well. Appreciate the sacrifices. Top of the 9th inning, and Houston Street on in relief of Andrew Kashner. Struck out Yasiel Puig, and he has Adrian Gonzalez 1 and 2. We're hearing a lot of clamoring for instant replay with more applications in Big League Baseball. See these check swings now that Phantom Cam is out?
They always go.
Bud thinks they go every time.
By contrast, Sweeney thinks nobody check swings. You seem a little less biased.
I am, because it's going to happen. It's going to go either way. You're always going to be a side not happy.
Adrian Gonzalez crushes that ball. Home run, Dodgers. It's his team-leading 10th home run and his 2nd in 2 days. And the Dodgers take a 2-1 lead.
Looks like Houston Street was keeping everything away in this one. He wanted away, but look where it ends up.
It leaks down and in. 2-2. Wanted to go backdoor slider to catch that outside corner. He just yanked it a little bit down and in, and that's right in the sweet spot of Adrian Gonzalez.
Hanley Ramirez will go in the same general direction, and with blanks back at the wall, this too is gone. Back-to-back home runs for the Dodgers. They now lead 3-1. And for Ramirez, that is his 2nd in as many days. Well, the home run has plagued Houston Street, and it bites him again today.
That one he put where he wanted to put it, but Ramirez does a great job backing that thing up and hitting it out the other way.
And for Street, that is the 10th home run he's allowed in 25 2/3 innings. Andre Ethier. Miles Michaelis getting loose in the Padre bullpen. Michaelis Doesn't have a big league appearance this season. He was with the club for a bit last year. One out, top of 9. Ethier wraps it solidly up the middle, base hit. 3 straight hits for the Dodgers, 2 home runs and a single by Ethier.
I think with Uribe coming up, well, Darren Balsey trots out to the mound, so Street will have Uribe.
Let's take another look at the Adrian Gonzalez home run on the Phantom Cam.
Again, top hand, the palm is up. Bottom hand is in a flex position. Head is down, the reverse V. And that's a mistake. This one is right where Houston Street wanted to put it. And again, Ramirez does a nice job backing that ball up, letting it travel. And he does the harder of the two, taking it out the opposite way.
You know, that side angle really gives you an idea. I thought the ball was lower from the center field. I thought it was lower, actually. But on contact, that looked like it was right by the belt buckle, enabling Ramirez to get extended and send it out of here the opposite way.
So for the Dodgers, Gonzalez and Ramirez back-to-back home runs for the first time this season for LA. And Juan Uribe's got a couple of doubles and an RBI himself. And Andre Ethier is at first base. All lifted and Hundley and Guzman will put it away for the second out.
You hear Buddy Black from up here yelling Goozy.
You can hear that on the field mics, you bet.
So with 2 outs, the damage done right now by the Dodgers. Couple of home runs, Gonzalez and Ramirez. Here's Nick Punto. It's a single in 3 trips. Hey, Houston had retired all 3 batters he faced on Friday against the Dodgers, and that's when he recorded his 15th save. Unfortunately, not the same success here today. Ahead of Punto here, 0-2. Marlins lead the Giants 4-2 in the 9th, and the Reds lead the Diamondbacks 4-0 in the 8th. And when the Padres hit guys in the bottom of the 9th inning, unless Buddy makes any changes, it'll be 2-3-4 in the lineup. So you got to make up some ground. It's as good a spot as any to pick things up.
It's probably going to be Jansen instead of League.
Yep.
You figure. Now that he's got the lead.
Just going to mention that. Got to turn up the dial against Kenley Jansen.
Padres took the first 2 games of this series. They lost to the Dodgers yesterday, 6-1 the final. They lead the series this year 7-5 due to Padres. They're going to have to claw their way out of a home run hole in the bottom of the 9th.
Again, it's like we talked about when Quentin hit the home run. It happened so quick. One swing in the bat and he was tied. Well, here 2 swings of the bat, and now you're down 2.
8 hits for the Dodgers today, 5 of them for extra bases, 2 of them home runs. And for the Padres, 1 run on 6 hits. Punto out to Denorfia at the track. The 3rd out of the inning, but not before the Dodgers go back to back. Gonzalez and Ramirez. Padres down 3-1. Where the healthy pets go. And by your San Diego County Lexus dealer, who invite you to test drive a luxurious Lexus automobile today. 4th and final game of this series between the Dodgers and the Padres. And on a gorgeous Sunday afternoon, it had been going pretty well for San Diego. Andrew Kashner throwing a whale of a ball game in a start against Chris Capuano. But the Dodgers were able to score 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning on back-to-back home runs, and it's 3-1 where we stand. And Andrew Kashner is our Carl's Jr. star of the game today. What an afternoon. 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run. It was earned, a walk, and 2 strikeouts.
Doesn't get much better than that. Kashner was outstanding today.
2nd time this season. He'd gone 8 innings, and unfortunately not enough offense to this point to have him qualify for the win, but the game's certainly not lost, as Kenley Jansen will come in for the Dodgers, and he'll face Chris Denorfia, Chase Headley, and Carlos Quinton.
Well, basically a 2-pitch pitcher for Kenley Jansen. That cut fastball, that slider. And when you look at the blown saves, hey, the Dodgers right there with 15.
Opportunity there. Chris Denorfia has a hit today. And remember, Carlos Quinton provided the only RBI, the solo home run in the bottom of the 7th inning, and he is due up.
Mentioned the repertoire of Kenley Jansen. 51 strikeouts, just 6 walks, guys, in 36 innings. Here's a guy who's really harnessed that control into a pretty effective big league pitcher, and now a closer for the Dodgers. Need to get that guy up there with some multiple base runners.
Now remember, folks, since May 19th, Padre offense been very powerful. Tied for 1st in home runs allowed, or That nice sliding catch by Ethier, robbing DeNorfia. Well, I thought that one might fall, and Chris might be able to get something going for the Padres, but Ethier, nice play on the move.
Well, you're right, Mike. I thought that ball was going to fall in. DeNorfia fought this ball off, but Ethier able to run it down.
What I meant to say a moment ago is that they're tied for first in home runs, period, since May 19th in the National League. 38 of them before Carlos Quentin's today. It was 39, so they can generate a little juice. Chase Headley with 31 home runs a year ago, 6 so far this season, and he is 0 for 3 today. Jansen quickly ahead, 0-2. Tony, I know you've mentioned you're impressed now with the way Chase has been swinging recently, and you've made some adjustments. What do you see from him today?
Well, again, you know, when you have a year like he had last year, you're always putting pressure on yourself to try to repeat that. But, you know, what I like is that he's still being patient. He's moved the ball around. He's not pulling the ball quite as much. And you get a guy like Jansen out there who's, you know, cutter's his best pitch. You can't help but be aware of something inside. But like I said, Chase is being patient. And he's hit some balls in this series right on the button and didn't get much to show for it. He lined out to second. Lined out to short. He hit a line drive into right field that was caught. And he's really, to me, at least starting to put together good at-bats one after the other. And that's usually how you get things turned around.
Ball and 2 strikes. Well, he's always had the good eye. If anything, by his own admission, he thought he might have been guilty of being too patient before changing that approach a little bit last year.
Well, that's what he talked about last year was, he felt like he was being too patient and started to try to be a little bit more aggressive in the strike zone. And that was the key. He was aggressive in the strike zone, and boy, he really turned it on.
Well, Jansen gets him here.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the San Diego Padres and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Well, let's see what Carlos Quentin can do here with 2 outs. After he put a charge into 1 in the 7th inning, a home run tied this game at 1. But the Dodgers would come back and back-to-back home runs in the top of the 9th. 3-1 is where we stand. This ball was hit with a charge in it.
Carlos Quentin still has the best bat slip in all of baseball.
Let's see if he gets a chance to flip it one more time here.
I'd like to see him draw a walk and have Kyle Blanks maybe do some damage and then pass it on to Guzman or whoever Buddy Black elects to throw up there to home plate.
Well, they need to chip away, down by 2. Yeah, we showed you the statistics of the Dodgers bullpen has not been very good. Right there among the tops in blown saves in the National League. One and one. Hammered to left. It'll fall in front of Schumacher. And Carlos Quentin keeps the Padres hopes alive. Sharp single to left. His second hit of the game.
Watts just gets on top of that ball running in. And again, that ball's running in on him. And again, good position. Top hand comes over the top. And you didn't see it, but still excellent bat flip out of his hand.
Style points. Here's Kyle Blanks.
It's not that he's trying to do anything. That's just how he lets go of the bat.
Here goes Quinton. And Fedorovich and the Dodgers will show defensive indifference. Carlos moves into scoring position.
Well, a lot of people might be asking, though, well, that run doesn't mean anything. Well, in the event of a grounder, now the Dodgers can't go the short way at second base. Shortstop has to go to his left. He can just flip it to second for the force out. Now there's no force. On an infield hit like that, you keep the inning alive.
And the other thing is that the outfielders are playing no double, so they're playing deep. Ground ball base hit's going to score a run, and then you're only one run behind.
Well, that's a nasty cutter, isn't it, at 94?
Blanks quickly behind now, 0-2. Padres without a hit in 3 tries with runners in scoring position today. But Blanks on the season hitting .367 in these situations. Hanging tough.
Nice job right there, fouling that pitch off.
He's a Tony Gwynn fan. He's got the autograph on the cap, and he's wearing the jersey as well.
That's a rally cap right there. He did that inside out.
Believe it.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Padres down by 2, bottom of the 9th inning. And Jansen gets Blanks to end the game. The Padres unable to come back in this one. Let's get out to Laura McKeeman. What's coming up on Padres Live, the postgame show? Laura?
Well, thank you.